So the Acolyte was canceled.
It's definitely because incels didn't like two people of color holding hands. We're not gonna forget that.
Good lord, the projection is staggering. I figured at this point people would just move on, and I understand why people who like the Acolyte might be upset because it's canceled. There's nothing wrong with being upset that your favorite show is canceled, and I completely get where they're coming from, because that was exactly my sentiment surrounding the Raised by Wolves cancellation, which I feel really didn't deserve it. But if anybody didn't like Raised by Wolves and they were happy that the show got canceled, guess what I would not be doing on here? Oh my god. It got canceled because a bunch of incels didn't like the fact that there was like a fembot and like a bunch of children and a dark-skinned person. Honestly, it's actually wild to see these people claiming this on Twitter, that it was canceled because people couldn't handle seeing two people of color holding hands. And first off, I know I keep bringing this up, but it needs to constantly be said because people are still using the term people of color. That is a modern way of saying colored people, which has a pretty messed up history. It's just a rephasing that sounds a little bit more polite or vanilla or kind of like backhanded, like, oh my god, you know when people are like, bless your heart, but it actually means you're so fucking weird? Stop saying that, bro. And not only that, it's very archaic because it lumps everyone who isn't white into just one category. There's white people, and then there's the rest of people that ain't white. What is that doing for bridging the gaps between racism and prejudice? Like, you're just othering people. That's essentially what you're doing, which is defeating the whole purpose. They're not just people. Like, well, anyway, back to the show. Honestly, if these people would just get over themselves and actually existed outside of the lens of just racists, then they would see that the criticisms had very little to do with the two characters holding hands or being in love with each other. Honestly, that was one of the better parts. Reducing the criticism of the Acolyte to just some kind of racist thing, you're missing the entire point. There's a majority of people that had genuine critiques about the storyline, pacing, or character development. It's just really shallow of an ideal to just dismiss all those valid points just by saying, oh, people didn't like it because they're racist. That's a blanket statement, and it really doesn't do justice to the actual conversation around the show, and it also doesn't do justice in showing yourself in a good light if that's the only thing that you took away from people being glad that the show was canceled.
They've hit the second tower.
It was set up to fail from the beginning. When The Acolyte was first announced as a female-run show with Leslie Headland at the helm, starring a black femme and a diverse cast of characters.
And you can't see why this is a problem, why people would be turned off. Look at the way that you're speaking. The very fact that you're making it primarily about people's identity and their ethnicity and what they have in between their legs is the main reason why people of every color, mind you, not just incel white people, had an issue with its marketing. And then they're trying to throw out the criticism of it being incels. They always use that word to try and dismiss people. And, oh, they didn't like people who are not white, and the fact that it had a female-led cast, that's really ridiculous. The real issue here isn't primarily the diversity in the show. Most of us are totally cool with that. And I like how people will always go to that specific argument and just completely ignore all of the other shows and movies where there are actually diverse characters, meaning white, black, and other, and don't have a problem with that. They all just forget that. It's like they just started hating on this stuff just yesterday. The problem comes when the show leans heavily into what people look like and what they have in between their legs. Look at how diverse the cast is, instead of telling a good story. Did people seriously not take comprehension tests and classes when they were growing up? I'm not trying to be an asshole necessarily, but is that something they don't teach in the States? Comprehension? Like, early on, when we were in elementary, that is one of the things that teachers drilled into us. It was a requirement for us to not just learn English, but learn comprehension. They would ask us certain questions, ethical questions. If such and such has such and such, what does this mean when such and such asks this? By this phrase being this way, is this also being phrased this way when the person says the same thing a different way? Like, is that something that Americans don't learn? I'm not saying everyone in the video is American or that all places or regions in America Korea teach exactly the same thing, but I'm legitimately asking because when I came to this country, they did not teach that. From what I could tell in New York, that wasn't a thing. And I'm sorry, but it shows with a lot of people. Most of what people learn in terms of common sense is them going out there and socializing, which a lot of these people probably lack. But by jumping straight to the conclusion that people only hated the show for those reasons, you're just dismissing a lot of the other valid critiques. There are legitimate criticisms about the writing, the plot, and how the characters were developed. And these criticisms are not just coming from white incel men, they're coming from everybody. They're coming from black women, they're coming from black men, they're coming from Hispanic, Asian. We see all of this, and here it is. They say that, people's voices aren't being heard, but whenever they actually are raising their voices and giving their 2 cents on something, you push this narrative that only white people exist and everybody else doesn't exist. How is that for diversity? Now, sure, there are always going to be a few fringe comments that are genuinely racist, but they don't represent the majority of viewers, and you making it seem like they do is actually giving them a bigger voice than they need to have. Most people just want a well-written show with a compelling story, and when that's missing, it doesn't matter how diverse the cast is or how not diverse the cast is. If the writing feels shallow or like the characters are being tokenized, it's gonna turn people off. So let's not ignore the real feedback by only focusing on the extremist comments, by which you are giving them all the attention that they're craving. Also consider all the movies and shows and stuff gone by where they had homogenous characters and those shows and movies flopped. What happened then? What was the excuse then?
Unlike we had seen in a Star Wars project before, the review bombers took to the internet before the show even had a chance to air.
Yes, because when you market a show a certain way, or you give people a teaser or a trailer, or you say this is what the show is going to be about, then people have a right to criticize the things that you're saying and to determine whether or not it's something they're interested in based on how you're marketing it. There is no law that says that you can't do that. If people see that there's a shoe or something coming out and they're like, look at this shoe or look at this game, people have a right to say, wow, that looks like ass. Now, yes, they could be wrong and the shoe or the game comes out and they're like, wow, this is actually kind of comfortable. I eat my sack because I really thought it was going to be disgusting. Or it can be exactly what they thought it was. I know this is a foreign concept to some people who are super entitled and everyone must think what they think and like what they like, but people absolutely have the right to voice their opinions about how something is marketed before it even comes out. If the show, again, as I've said, is promoted in a way that doesn't resonate with them or it feels very off or it feels pretentious, they're allowed to criticize that. Just like those who are speaking out in support of the show now. Everyone has a right to express their thoughts. It's part of being human. We all have different tastes and we're entitled to share our opinion. I don't know why people feel the need to come out and attack other audience members for just not liking something. What the hell? It's giving entitled. It's giving date me. Nobody will date me. And if you don't date me, then something's wrong with you. That's giving that kind of energy. It's not that serious. You're not that special. When the Acolyte actually came out, people started picking it apart, pointing out all the issues they had with it in detail, including me. And that's fine. People are allowed to not like something. If the show was really as amazing and popular as some people claim, and if it had a big enough fan base and support, it would have kept going, but it didn't. Cause all y'all having a problem with it also didn't come out and support it enough. Color me fresh. Isn't that interesting how that works? The fact is, it didn't get that level of support, neither did Raised by Wolves, and that's why it was canceled. So it doesn't make sense to blame the majority of viewers who didn't like it. If fewer people were watching it, then maybe it wasn't hitting the mark as much as creators thought it would. This idea that everyone else is wrong and only a small group of people is right just is not a mature way of looking at things. It's a very Karen way of looking at things. People should have a little more faith in humanity and try to understand why so many people didn't like it instead of just dismissing them as incels or racist. Because what about all the black people and the lesbians and the gay people who don't like it? They're racist and homophobic too, bitch. Come on, stop. It's so important that some of you go back to, no, don't even go back to school because school's a sham now. I don't even know what to say at this point. Go socialize with people outside of your bubble group because I don't know what is going on. I don't know what is going on with people's thought processes nowadays, bro. People just jumping to conclusions about everyone else's motive, when you yourself have this motive to paint everybody in this broad brush, not realizing that you too are being racist. If we could start pointing fingers about being racist, you're also being racist because you're discounting all the people who are black or who are not white, who didn't like it and are giving valid criticisms to this and calling them incels and racists. Just think about that for a second. Maybe you can't think past your face, so it's a little bit hard for you to achieve that. I get it, but just try. Try.
Is it worth the price?
I understand that it got review bombed to an insane degree by so many people who were hating on it just because of what seemed like internal prejudice.
Internal? What now? Like, I don't even get what this person's trying to say. Claiming the Acolyte was review bombed just because people have internal prejudices or whatever the frick she said, this is the laziest argument I have ever heard. If a show gets canceled, again, this is crazy. I know it's hard to accept this. It's usually because it didn't pull in enough viewers or support. Simple as that. You guys should have, if you really liked it as much as you said you did, you should have gotten more people to support it. Furthermore, you shouldn't be the one saying, if you don't like something, then don't watch it. Because then guess what? You're right. When people take that advice and you get mad at them for not watching it, if you're going to write off all negative reviews as review bombing, then you're also dismissing the overly positive reviews. Oh, no, you're not? Oh, wow. It's funny when people are just like, this show is great. This show is great. It's not called review bombing then. It's not called positive love bombing. You're freaking, this is a double standard. By brushing off everybody's critiques as just prejudice, racist, you're basically saying their opinions don't count, even when they're not being so. And the thing is, a lot of these articles will come out and be like, these people are saying that they have valid criticisms, but we know what it really is. So when people actually give, it's like they can't win. When you actually get valid criticisms, yeah, the show's writing sucked, it was disjointed, here's why. Well, you're still racist. Like, bro, if you're gonna play that game, then guess what? Your opinion shouldn't count either. Yep, it's a very slippery slope. Honestly, it's really, really ridiculous of a way to view things. It makes you look like an idiot. How about we try listening to people who didn't like it and, I don't know, talking with people instead of just assuming everybody's secretly prejudiced, including all the people who are non-white people who did not like it. And if you say the majority of those people are what makes up the viewer count, okay, so then the majority of people who are non-white, who happen to be more than the white people, I know that for sure. I'm just saying, hypothetically, then are they prejudiced? And what are they prejudiced against? And if they then are having a problem with it, they'll shift the goalposts and say something like, well, they have internal misogyny or internalized racism, which is so degrading. And we could just keep pointing fingers at how ridiculous it gets. It makes you racist because you're basically saying that if a person who is not white doesn't like something that was made or, I guess, casted by a lot of people who are not white, and that person who who dislikes it, they are secretly racist. Like, my brain is just blowing up trying to remotely hold whatever logic these people think that they have. What are you doing? This is why sometimes I'm embarrassed to be a woman. I swear to God. Like, where are the men saying this? I know there's men out there saying it too, but the majority of the people in this are freaking women. And it's like, dude, you're come on, man. This is not the representation that we need, especially now when there's a huge culture war going on with men and women. You're making the freaking red pillars look like they're freaking prophets, man. Stop.
Amanda Stenberg, who not only gave a phenomenal performance as Osha, but also as her twin sister.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. I mean, I understand you probably thought so, but she did a better job as Rue in the Hunger Games than she did as, what are their names? May and Osha. She's not the worst actor I've seen, definitely not, but she wasn't the best. She was boring. I mean, you want to kiss her twat and make her feel better about herself, that's on you, girl, but I can list almost everybody else in that show gave a better performance than she did. She's just not in the same ballpark. I think she needs a little bit more years or experience under her belt with certain things, or maybe the person who directed just wasn't doing her justice. But her performance was not that great. It obviously wasn't great enough for her to stand out enough to save the show or to make herself look good.
May had no choice but to stick up for themselves and defend herself against the vitriol and bigotry that she was receiving.
And her excuse was to go on Twitter and shake her puss in the camera and mumble rap something we couldn't even understand that really did seem as though she only took a day way to make it. I'm not saying she doesn't have a right to defend herself against these people. They're not the majority. You're a fucking millionaire. They're not the majority. They're not coming to your house. They're not doxing you. You're freaking privileged. You're a biracial girl who is overly privileged. You're rich. Not saying that rich people don't have problems, but if your whole thing of oppression is a few people online saying something mean to you or about the show that you're starring in, if that makes you freaking break down, I have a rude awakening for you, because it doesn't get better as an actor. Actors are in the center of the spotlight, and you're gonna continue getting those issues. Like, imagine me, the people that hate me, going online and then making up some kind of rap video shaking my ass. I don't have an ass, but you know, shaking whatever, and being like, yeah, you guys, look, I'm oppressed and blah 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 blah. Like, ugh. Like, even just thinking about that, it looked really bad. And the worst thing you could do as a celebrity is come out and let that be your comeback. You didn't even decide to sit down and write a cohesive, thought out reply. You decided to shake your ass or shake whatever in the camera to try and own the people who already are saying that you're a vapid person. How is that doing any favors for you? My brain feels like it's super fried right now. Why are you attacking the audience? I'm not even talking about the fringe racist people out there, because I know there's racist people everywhere, but the majority of us didn't like it because it was dumb. It was disgustingly done. It was horrible. The writing was deplorable. It felt like someone put no effort into it. I get Leslie Headland was passionate about it, but it looks like no effort was put into it. It comes off looking like that. And this is coming from someone who's a film student. Like, I understand when you put your passion into something and then you show the audience or you show your film teacher and he's like, this looks like a piece of shit. Yeah, it hurts your feelings. It really does, because in your mind, you're like, I did that. I'm such an artist. Oh my God, I did a great job. And then your freaking film teacher just says, do this over. This fucking sucks. I don't even want to finish it. Who am I to be like, yo, Mr. Such and Such, you didn't even watch the whole thing. It was so bad. He was like, I'm not wasting my time. Look at this. I cried. You know what I didn't do? Well, you're racist and you're sexist. The fuck? Grow up. Stop.
Because Lucasfilm did not protect her.
Yeah, let me shake my ass in front of a whole bunch of people. I got y'all now. That was really great. Maybe you should do a little bit of study on how to make diss tracks. This ain't it. This ain't it. You want a good way to make a diss track? Machine Gun Kelly Killshot and then Eminem's diss track with each other? Or my favorite one, the Keys Nicki Minaj diss. Now, I like Nicki Minaj, you know, for the most part. But damn, this girl tore her up. Oh my God. She tore her ass. I mean, damn, I was like, ooh, 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 ooh. That's how you write a diss track. Look at Eminem. Look at all the other rappers out there. Look at everybody else who actually does music when they're writing a diss track on someone. That's how you write a diss track. That is not flapping your freaking hands around like a fucking duck. This you can tell this is coming from a place of ultimate privilege. Someone who has never actually been in an oppressive situation before. People being mean to you online, you know, yeah, that sucks. But it in no way means that you're oppressed. You're the last person with that silver ass spoon in your mouth and your ass to be telling people that you're oppressed and that people are being mean to you. Furthermore, if you're gonna make a diss track, people need to be able to hear you. You need to be able to articulate what it is you're saying. Because all I hear is I couldn't understand a word of what she was saying. I had to really, really freaking listen and be like, what the fuck what is this? This is so bad. If people weren't bullying you before, you sure put yourself as a target to be bullied now. I would never get caught leaving this online. I would think, yeah, this is the shit. And then I would watch it back and be like, oh God, no. Oh, no. Clearly, this is someone who's not used to being criticized, and it wasn't even really about her. People are gonna say horrible things. Fuck those people. But then to attack the entirety of the audience and make it seem that the rest of us are as bad as those small percentage of actually racist assholes, you're gonna make everybody your enemy. That is the stupidest thing you could do.
The supposed Star Wars fans were divided, and by that I mean incels of the internet and of Twitter.
Managed to pull off enemies to lovers so well.
Lucasfilm didn't do anything to
It is so naive and entitled to think that Lucasfilm should have been responsible for protecting Amandla from people making fun of her online. Like, welcome to the internet. Public figures are always going to face criticism and jokes. It's not the studio's job to babysit them or control everyone's opinions. So long as they're not actually like slandering her or saying that she committed a crime that she didn't commit, then it's kind of to be expected. Celebrities need to toughen up because it's just part of the deal. And don't forget, Amanda is rolling in cash, and she got paid regardless of how the show did. Blaming the audience for the Acolyte flopping is just, I can't even believe these people are actually taking this seriously. If the show tanks, it's because it didn't click with the viewers, not because the audience didn't do their duty to like it. It's not our duty to like something if we don't like it. Money doesn't grow on trees. And especially nowadays with inflation and everything, people understandably are careful about how they spend their time and their money. We have every right to decide not to watch something, especially if we're being told by these same people not to watch it if we don't like it. Nobody's obligated to support something just because a handful of people think that they should, and that's the cold hard truth of the entertainment world. You wanted it to do well? Well, you should have got more people out to like it. You couldn't pull that much support? Then the show fucking sucks.
To protect the cast and the crew of The Acolyte.
Why can't the girls have fun things for the girlies? Why?
I'm sorry, what? Why can't we have fun things for the girl? Here's the thing. Star Wars, as they keep saying and won't let us forget, has always been a predominantly male-dominated space. So why not ask, why can't guys have fun things for themselves? Girls already have plenty of franchises and spaces tailored to them. When you take something that's been traditionally enjoyed by a male audience and then try to flip it to cater primarily to females, it's like you're taking away the fun that guys have had for years. It's not about gatekeeping, it's about respecting the original spirit of the franchise. And the thing is, most girls who like Star Wars were perfectly fine with it as it was. By trying to change it into something it's not, and making it so low quality, you're losing what made it special in the first place. Then when it doesn't resonate with either women or men, you wonder why it fails. It's because you're pushing it away from its core audience. Most of what I thought was the main issue from what I've been hearing is the decanonization of things. They changed certain things that were canon. They went back, and to suit the Acolyte, they went back and changed something that was already canon. And I understand males and females had an issue with this. Males and females who were actual stars are fans of Star Wars. And it feels like a lot of these people that are talking are not actually fans of Star Wars. They just came in at the end because they're like, oh, let's just try this out. Oh my God, Manny is in here. Muscles. Oh my God, dick. I'm on. I'm a Star Wars fan. Okay, cool. But just understand that this show is not what encompasses Star Wars. So you can't just be like, oh, well, why can't we have nice things? You have nice things. 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight, Hunger Games, all this other big-ass franchises and endless franchises are already catered for women that men can enjoy as well. You have those out there. Women already enjoy Star Wars. Why are you getting upset that because people looked at this and they're like, this doesn't feel like Star Wars, that they clicked off? Why are we upset? And clearly, us girls did not like it enough to support it, hence it wouldn't have been fucking canceled. And you know this because Twilight and all those other franchises that are predominantly women attracted, they do extremely well. These books sell off the shelves because there's huge support for them because women like them, hence they make money. So clearly, women didn't like this enough for it to stay on and for it to make money. What is it that's not grasping or clicking in your head about that? Why do people do these dumbass TikToks? They see something and they have their dumbass faces. I don't even know if that's her face or just she's using someone's AI face or something, but they're like, look at this. Look at my face. Oh my God, reaction. Like, it's so cringe, stop. But anyway, I'm assuming this person's upset because Elon Musk was like, yeah, go, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing he's happy it's canceled. I think he's a Star Wars fan too. And he's like, yeah, good riddance. A lot of other people said the same thing about a lot of other shows and nobody cares. I wonder why people predominantly care about this one being canceled. And the other shows, no one's saying anything about racism or sexism, but because this so happens to be led by a lesbian person who is marketing it as queer, and it just so happens to have a lot of people in it that are not white, the only reason for people to be celebrating it is because they don't like people who ain't white. All of the black people and the Latinos and the Indians who don't like it, you guess what? You're all white supremacists.
But it just shows how fragile you guys guys are to storytelling.
If you have to go out there and attack the audience for not having liked a show that you liked and it got canceled and people were criticizing it and your whole world is so turned upside down that you go on the offense against people that you don't even know, that shows how fragile you are. Your mind should not be melting over this. I mean, if you want to melt over it being canceled, I understand, okay? You go off, sis, whatever. But then coming out and calling people incels, you're setting up yourself. Half the people that do this kind of shit would not do this in real life. I'm just saying. Go out there from a store, like, you have your favorite store that sells you bubble tea or something and not enough people are buying. They're going across the street. Like, I don't like that. It tastes like ass. Let you go out there in the real world and be like, fuck y'all, customer. Oh, you're incels, blah, 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 blah. And see how fast you get shit in your face.
Stop having fun immediately.
Nobody would be caught doing this in real life. Online, it's easier for people to be like, all of you, fuck all you guys. You didn't like the show that I liked, even though I told you not to watch it if you didn't like it. Goddamn. It's so cringeworthy to me. You have grown-ass, gray-back women on here acting like this. And look, I make fun of things and I criticize things too. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm not out here is losing my shit and attacking people, like actual other audience members, because they didn't like what I like. What kind of sociopathic tendencies?
For the girls on board.
Leslie Headland was so dedicated as a fan of Star Wars.
So when Mother Anicia says this quote, and the whole show is literally about people of color.
Ask me what I'm about to do. I'm about to cry. Thank you for asking.
I don't care about what the incel said.
You guys bullied a man less than.
If you don't care about what the incel said, then why are you making a video talking about what the incel said or having an issue with it? Then don't care what they said. It's that simple. Why are you losing your shit? And if the show is about people who are not white, that means that you accept and you admit that the show was geared towards people who are not white. So then why do you expect white people to watch it?
I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant to women of color, to biracial women, to teen women of color.
You're trying too hard.
And here's the thing that gets me, right? These people are allowed to be as loud as they can be to criticize, but yet everybody else that has an issue with certain things should just be quiet. We're allowed to speak and say when we don't like things, but you guys, if you don't like things that we like, you need to shut up and not say anything, including all y'all non-white people who don't think the way we expect y'all to think. Y'all need to sit on the back of the bus and be quiet. That's what that's giving. Just shut up, don't talk. You have something to say, don't talk. And it's funny. I'm sorry, this might trigger people. I'm triggering everybody. But the religious people do the same shit. They ask me, oh, why'd you leave religion? Why'd you do this? And then I say why I didn't like it, or I disagree, or someone's trying to convert me. I say, these are the reasons why I don't. Well, why do you have to be loud about it? Why can't you just keep it to yourself? Excuse the fuck me? You're allowed to be loud and force your beliefs on everybody else. But yet, when I then explain to you why I don't agree with it, or why I personally don't like it, or I personally don't believe, all of a sudden it's an issue and I shouldn't fucking talk. Oh, give me a break. That shit is stupid. Anybody who does that shit, I don't care what it's pertaining, politics, entertainment, religion, relationships. Anytime someone tells you that you need to be quiet and they start calling you names and attacking you publicly for your difference of opinion, that's a cult. And all people that are members of cults are often very fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Let's not forget that a lot of these mediums also feed off of the discourse. They feed off of the divisiveness. They'll be the ones to find a mountain and then use a magnifying glass and then look down at a dying tree that's sunk underneath some kind of quicksand medium and then pull up the tree, open the tree, and then use a freaking microscope and find a piece of bacteria on it and be like, see? Right there. See the racism? The overwhelming racism that people have? Like, bro, maybe if you guys didn't focus so much on race by putting down other people of other ethnicities, we wouldn't be having this much of a problem. People are creating this problem nowadays and then getting mad at the monster that they have cultivated. You shouldn't see color. You shouldn't see this. That was what they were saying years ago. Now, see color. That's part of our truth. See color. And then when people start seeing color and then you tell them that the color that they were born with is wrong, then all of a sudden you wonder why they start to resent people who don't look like them. And then you're like, see these people? They're not seeing color. Oh no, but they are seeing color, which is wrong. Make up your goddamn mind, man. You are making everything about race and then you get mad when you see more racism. I can never understand it. Except these people just want to see the world burn, or there's a bunch of people here that just never went through therapy or refused to, and they're trying to project all of their insecurities and their racism on people. And the funny thing is that people crying the loudest about everything being racist are usually the most racist people. It's kind of like those people who are super angry and they get upset about people being gay, like, I can't stand gay people, and then they're like closet gay because they're being super loud with it. Everything's gay, and you know, like certain persons in the red pill community that have been caught doing gay things, but yet the first thing that comes out of that person's mouth whenever there's something he doesn't like, or someone is doing something as universal such as dancing, all of a sudden it's gay. Them people that are always the loudest about that stuff are the people who you need to watch out for. Those are the ones, they don't tell you outright that they're racist. They pretend they're your friend and laugh in your face and call themselves allies because secretly they think they're more superior. Those are the people you need to watch out for. That's what BuzzFeed here with this article, these are the people you need to watch out for. Or on the flip side, those people who just live in this victim mentality because it's easier than taking accountability. It's easier to say that the world hates you and that everything you go through is because somebody else is putting you down. Well, that may work on some subsect of the internet somewhere in the far nether regions of Tumblr. It doesn't work in the real world. It doesn't work in the majority of the internet. The more that you try to make yourself a victim is the more people will treat you like one. And trust me, it's not the way that you're gonna want them to.
Hamburg so bad.
The Acolyte, it was kind of to be expected considering how it is set in the universe that has, if not one of the, then the most toxic fan base like ever.
To receive this news, I like him.
I am mourning the fact that we're not getting any more Khmer edits because we're not gonna get any more source material.
Oh my god, that is the only, I told you. That is the only thing they care about. So as Khmer came out, they're like, oh my god, oh shit, really? Guess what, guys? There's Wattpad and there's Webtoons. Go write some fan fictions. I know how it feels. Yes, Khmer is hot. This wasn't the play. It wasn't hitting. Maybe, funny enough, because a lot of queer people were angry at Leslie Headland for queer baiting because she was marketing it like that, talking about me as a queer person and this is a queer this and a queer that. So I did see threads where a lot of queer people were like, okay, what is going on? This isn't as queer as you said it was. And then Leslie Headland had to come out and be like, it's not queer with a capital Q. Go look it up. I have it in other videos as well. But if you had led with the whole Khmer thing, or at least some of that, maybe more people would have come in and they would have been like, oh my god, this is so great. But the majority of Star Wars people, including women, they don't come to Star Wars for that. That's not where we have fan fictions for a reason. Leslie Headland's fan fiction should have stayed that way. She has a passion about Star Wars that's great. And honestly, when you hear her talk about her passion, she really does seem like she likes it, even though she seems kind of fake sometimes. But I do think there's a part of her that actually does love Star Wars, but in her own mind, there's a different thing going on. Just like I make fan fictions for Godzilla, and because I know that there's a huge subsect of the community that like the monsters talking and stuff. So in my mind, that's how the monsters are, and they're kaiju, so they fuck each other. It's a fantasy world. If I were given the job to, hey, let's take over the Godzilla franchise, and first of all, I would decline. I'd be like, I am the wrong person to do this with. I am not enough of a Godzilla fan for you to trust me with that kind of thing. Second of all, the rest of the movies are not about that. Why would I then be like, you know what, the majority of guys and people who are into the Godzilla universe, they're the majority that have been supporting this franchise from its inception. They're not about the whole shipping thing. Let me put it into official canon. Like, do you want people to hate you? I mean, I make the fan fiction off the side for fun for the small sect of the community that do appreciate it, and people still hate me because of that. They hate me like it's like I freaking killed their mom or something because I was acting out the characters and playing out a fan fiction that a huge portion of Godzilla people do like. Not enough of them, I wouldn't say the majority, but it's a little bit of fan service for those people. And the majority of the Godzilla people still hate me, even though this is not official, and even though other dudes specifically have done exactly the same thing. So imagine somebody like Leslie Headland being put in charge of what they're trying to make official because they're now changing the actual Star Wars canon to incorporate the Acolyte when the Acolyte has already broken canon. You can understand why people would be upset, but new people who are only thirsty for one specific character, they seem to cannot understand that or have the empathy to understand that they're ruining a franchise and why people would be upset. And then you're calling the fan base toxic. Let any of these Star Wars guys come into one of our female spaces and change up the characters, how mad they would be. Remember one time I took a character, back then I was like making little comics and stuff, And I told this girl on DA, because she had, you know, it was a mostly female thing with the horses. And I took one of her characters. Back then I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't making money off of it. It was just a fan thing. And I made like a fan edit or a fan comic of her horse. She got viscerally angry with me because I changed his personality and his backstory, and that's not the way she wanted him portrayed, and she got super mad and asked me to take it down, and I'm like, okay, first of all, it's transformative. Second of all, I meant no offense. Like, I obviously linked back to you and told people, hey, this is the actual story. Other people were making fan edits, you had no problem with that, but because I changed his backstory a little bit, even though it was a fan thing or a fan fiction, she still got mad. And I understand where she was coming from. I had the right to do that because it was transformative, but at the same time, I understand where she was coming from. There's people who make freaking not safe for work shit of my character, and it's like, okay, whatever. They're not making money on it. They're not doing anything. That's just the way they see it. Sure, you want tentacles coming out of my fox's ass? That's your thing of it? Sure, why not? It's not hurting me. It's not making it official on my channel. So there's a difference. Like, I don't even know why I have to sit here explaining this shit, man. This is just wild.
What do you mean? It wasn't bringing in the view.
It wasn't what?
It wasn't bringing in the view.
Oh, it wasn't bringing in the views. Okay, it says in the caption down there. Oh, well, I feel bad for her because she didn't actually say anything wrong. She's just legitimately mad. So I don't even know why this is on the list.
The viewership was not bad. The precedent this is setting is very scary and very concerning.
Why is it scary and concerning? Your hair color is scary and concerning. It ain't that serious. Why are you talking with two freaking raindrop earbuds in your ears when you're, what is the whole point of this video? Who are you trying to reach with this? Everybody else, like a lot of the other people, I can understand them saying, I'm mad that it's canceled. Just when we're starting to get Camille, okay, that's understandable. This one girl is trying to make it about everybody else. Like she's mad at the whole world. She talks like one of those old women, like my ex-boyfriend's grandmother's just mad at everybody. Everybody's, like I actually believe she was German too. I actually believe at some point she was probably a Nazi, like an actual Nazi. The way that she is with just everything and certain things she said, I'm like, probably one of them. And she's old enough to have been too. But bro, this is how she comes across. No shade on Mom. I love you, Mom. But dude, some people need to get laid. I swear to God. You want to say shit about the studio? Sure. Say stuff about the Acolyte? Sure. You want to praise it? Sure. Where was all this energy when you were supposed to be building support for it? When Godzilla -1 came out, I went out and told everybody as much as I could, hey, go see this movie, go support it, go see it, go see it, go see it, go see it. It was amazing. I loved it. Where was that? Now it gets canceled and you're like, oh my God, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. And then because racism, misogyny. How is that going to help? What, you think everybody hearing that all of a sudden is going to come to their senses and be like, oh, we are racist. Yeah. Okay, now what? And then, on the flip side, because people have been doing this to death, you call enough people racist and you use that for every single thing. You use that for terms where people disagree with you, even if the person is not white. You still call them that without knowing what they look like, and somehow they're racist. So then people are just starting to accept that. They're just like,
yes, I'm racist. Now what? Now where do we go from here? And what now? Yes, I'm misogynist. What now? You got me. Surprise, ain't a secret anymore. What now?
How are you attempting to further that? What is that supposed to achieve now that you gotcha? What is that supposed to do? Who is this helping? Because it ain't bringing it back. I don't know. Here's an idea. I think they did this with Lucifer. Get a whole bunch of people together and do some kind of, you care that much, and it really has as much support as you probably think it does. Which it doesn't. But if you do, get all these people and say, hey guys, you really want to see what happens with Camille and Osha or May, or well, I'm Osha at this point because she's evil. Yeah, let's get a whole thing going where we can get this done. Like we want Leslie's fan fiction to come to fruition. Or let's see if we can get our hands on that fanfic and pay for it. That'd be funny if this was Leslie's whole idea where she was like, man, I know that people aren't gonna like this, but if I make it bad enough and it gets canceled, then I'll become like J.K. Rowling and people would buy my book. That would be some next level mastermindery right there if that's what she was doing. And you know what? If that was her plan all along, props, because I never would have thought about that early on.
What Lucasfilm is doing with this decision is allowing the bigots to win, allowing the bigots to run with this and decide, even if that's not the original intention of canceling the show, that they have won, that they are correct, that Star Wars needs to be white and male, and it can't be anything else.
Okay, what are you talking about? Are you sure that's not your own projection going on there, girly? Bruh, what are you saying? Again, have you considered that other people exist out of white males that may like something or not like something outside of the color of the skin of the cast? Are you racist? Because if you're only thinking in white superiority terminologies, that must mean that you're projecting your internal prejudice. Because people who have been black and other don't like the show. So what about them? Do they not exist in your mind? I'm legitimately asking. I don't actually expect her to answer because she's not in front of me, but you can answer if you ever see this. I need to actually know that. What about us women who don't like it? Oh, is it internal misogyny? Okay. What about all those other shows that we like that are women-led, that have actual well-written female characters? Not the modern shit they're putting out now, they're stupid. Silo is one of the only modern stuff I can think of where the woman actually is a likable character. I like that character, and I want to see where it goes. There are a plethora of other movies, shows, anime, webtoons where they have a female-led character. There's so many other books that I've written that have female-led characters. What about the rest of us that are okay with that? What about that? If you only see this side of things and it's enough to make you hate everyone around you that doesn't think like you, it's projection. That is the lens that you are seeing the world through. You think that you're speaking up on behalf of people when the majority of those said people don't agree with you. I feel so sad for these people. I don't know what their parents did to them, but Lord have mercy. Stop watching the news, guys. I know people, they probably don't want me saying it. Literally, stop watching the news. You want your news? Go online, and if you're gonna go on YouTube, scroll all the way down. Like, don't look at the first 3 pages because those are paid to be put up there. Just go, don't even look at Fox. Don't look at CNN. Just do your own thing. Like, just look for your own stuff. Because I swear to God, the news will have people fighting each other so much, and they're like crows. They'll just sit there eating each other's feathers or shit or whatever, and just be like, yo, this fight's bussin', man. Just watching everybody tear their faces off, getting them to fight, and they're like, yo, placing bets with their cameras out, their little Raven Crow cameras out. They can make money off of all these people fighting, and then, you know, one side, they know that they'll be like, look at these people over here. You gonna let them say that about you? Huh? Yeah, look at these people over here. You gonna let them say that about you? And then they just watch them fight, and these people like this just eat it up. They don't even think. They just eat. The minute you start attacking other people rather than the productions themselves, you've already lost the argument. That's why when people say on my channel, anybody who likes this trash is brain dead, I'm not down with that shit. If anybody legitimately liked The Acolyte, I ask them why. Or what did you like about it? Or I'm glad that you liked it. Why would I put down someone for liking something? And I've seen people literally, yes, I'm calling you out. I call out the people on the other end of the aisle too who dislike people for not liking something, but I also call out those people who will get on people who like something genuinely. And those people, when they came over to my channel, they weren't being disrespectful. They were just saying, I don't know, man, I liked it. And I didn't like it personally, so I wanted to know their perspective because we're all different. And then you have people jumping on them and saying, it's your fault we're getting trash. I'm not down with that shit. Nope. If somebody likes something, they just like it. You cannot get mad at people who are saying that you should like what they like because they like it if you dislike it, but then get mad at people if they genuinely like something that you don't like. That's hypocrisy. And you cannot be asking for that respect and you're not giving it. All of that being said, I'm not happy or sad that The Acolyte is canceled, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm sort of surprised, but I'm also like, it's just funny to me, but it's even more sad that there are people out here attacking the fan base because they're rejoicing that something horrible was canceled. So what? Y'all attack stuff that's canceled all the time. You attack stuff when people get fired from their jobs. You attack them all the time. Be like, good. This person said this mean tweet 20 years ago and they lost their job even though they've never talked like that since that time. Haha, that's what they get, cancel culture. Am I right? And then all of a sudden now when it's on the other side, now it's a problem. Anyways.
At the very least, there needs to be some kind of formal statement from Lucasfilm explaining this decision and condemning the behavior of these fans who believe that they have won with their racism and homophobia.
Hell yes, white savior Barbie!